This little video series is called Dying Dor's Way, Radically Real Spiels on the End of Life. I'm here with my friend Pam, and you have to be the first person who's really spoken to me in detail about having near-death experiences. And Pam did not have just one near-death experience.
I've had three.
Three. In my world, that makes you an expert. So, just start anywhere.
Well, first off, I just want to start with I've like a lot of others have had challenges with food allergies, and so in my past, before I learned that food and environment was the culprit that was triggering me, I had a couple of situations where I ate something that I shouldn't have eaten, and I had an allergic reaction, and that allergic reaction caused me to stop breathing. So, without going into as much detail about that, I'd like to share the experience.
That's another whole video.
That's a whole other video. It is kind of like some of the other conversations or videos that others have done regarding that sensation of being snatched out of the body, but it's like a gentle kind of taking you out of your physical body and being aware of, for me, I exited my body, and I probably should start all over again. I exited my body, and I was actually standing looking at my body. It's
an out-of-body experience.
Out-of-body
so you were
experience.
looking down on Pam having anaphylactic shock or something like that, but your spirit was fine.
My spirit was fine.
Okay.
I had already stopped breathing. And then all of a sudden, I was like pulled into this environment, kind of like a tunnel, but it was more like a dark room, and it had a little bit of light flickering in it. You know how when you close your eyes and you see some colors behind your eyelids? It was kind of like that. And at the end of this space, there were the first time I had this experience, there were 3 doors. And out of one of the doors, there was this really bright, intense light, and I heard singing. So keeping in mind that I was a child at this time, so being a child, I felt safer going towards the singing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I entered into that space, there was a very intense, encompassing, warm, loving feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really beautiful. The colors in this space were very vivid. It was for me, the way I interpreted and felt about it, and still do feel about it when I think about it, is think of all of your senses being like one. Your sense of smell and touch and hearing is all one sense. So it's very, very intense. There's no separation. So if I'm tasting something, the sensation of taste is in hearing and smelling is all happening at the same time.
Wow.
And everything over there is brighter, colors, the sound of music, the voices singing in the background. So to bring this all together, I did end up having a conversation with this huge energy, which I choose to call God. And around me were other entities, which I choose to call my spiritual guides, as well as angels, and also other family members that had crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
And in this conversation, I was reminded that I had decided to come to Earth with a purpose to fulfill, and that purpose had not been completed yet, and I still had work to do.
Oh, so you had to come back.
I had to come back.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yes, I had to come back. But before I came back, God also showed me a little bit about what I understand to be the judgment process once you cross over. I don't want to scare anyone, but he showed me an incident where when I was very young, I saw some ants coming out of the crack of the sidewalk.
Right.
Because there was a piece of food there. So I went in the house and I brought out more food, and I waited until a lot of these ants came out. And when they came out, being a kid, what do? You stomp on them.
Squish them.
I stomped on it and I squished them. And I kind of was giggling at the time because I didn't think I was killing them. I was just playing with the ants. So while I was on the other side, God showed me that I'm going to take ownership of this. When I do something in this life, good or bad, that there is a review, and in that review, the feeling that I had when it was happening is experienced, but I was also experiencing the feeling that the other persons or
Ants.
entities or ants were feeling. And you don't just feel it for the whole mound of ants, you feel it for each and every ant. So my takeaway with that is what I do here as a human being towards others, human or animals or plants. When I cross over on the other side, I'm going to, good or bad or indifferent, I'm also going to have that sensation. And the sensation is not to punish, it's to teach.
It's
and
instructive.
My impression of that was to teach my soul some lessons.
There's going to be a pile of mouse traps over there when I cross over. So that's the takeaway. For me, I would take away be an environmentalist now while I can. Or go through life with kindness, not just to human beings, but to understand that all creatures are part of the life cycle.
It is. My understanding was that we're all energy over there was intertwined, and it wasn't that I was having a verbal conversation. It was more like telepathy, like an intuitive kind of thing, and that I came back here thinking I better watch what I say and do. And I don't always get it right. I am not perfect. And I know that there are some situations, and as I'm doing it, I'm thinking to myself, you're going to pay for this later. But I'm human. I'm in a human experience right now. So,
did you come back feeling like I've learned something I need to teach?
I came back that I had learned something, but not necessarily to teach, because when you talk about stuff like this, especially, we're going back in like late 60s, 70s, people think you're cuckoo.
Right.
And in some,
it's a problem.
Yes, because, people have their beliefs, and religion can say one thing, and, then you start getting into the psychology of the mind and the physiological and anatomical body functions and things like that.
Yeah.
So it really is a gray area, but I think if nothing else, if what I'm saying could help myself and others treat another human being or an animal or a plant with respect, because we are all created similarly and genetically, that would be my message. Has not been in vain.
Yeah, I hear you. I've been very cautious over the years about who I'm willing to share my spiritual life with, because it doesn't always feel safe.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't always feel safe.
That's true.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you.